Hello, beautiful beings. It's Rebecca, the Vegan Pixie Warrior, and welcome to my latest stream. So I was going to be talking to George Martin today. So hi, George. How are you?
Hey, yeah. Thanks, Rebecca, for having me on. Good to see you.
Good. I'm just going to say hello to some people in the chat. So we have got I'm Easy Vegan. If you haven't checked out his channel, go and check it out. It's really good. He's a fantastic activist. And thanks for that comment, I'm Easy. We've got Satan Inside. Hello, Satan. How are you? How's the running going? Can everyone hear me okay, by the way? I should have asked that first. Muddy Paws. Hello, Muddy Paws. How you doing? We've got the beautiful Gwaine on the chat. We've got Gail. Hello, Gail. George is a massive fan of Gail's as well.
Gail was great. Who couldn't like Gail? Come on.
Who couldn't like Gail? Thanks, I'm Easy. I'm glad you can all hear me. Oh, we got Nikki. Love Nikki. Hi, Nikki. How are you? So I'm going to timestamp the video. So if you're watching this on replay, just check through the description and you'll be able to find where we are in different parts. Please leave any questions to the end. I'm going to interview George a little bit about his background and his activism. And then if we've got the time at the end and anyone wants to ask any questions, we will go through like a Q&A, like a workshop for outreach, because George's website, Carnism Debunked, is all about debunking what the carnists say to us. So, we've got Trash Car Karas, I think I'm saying that right.
Yeah, that's Stacey. She's a lovely lady.
Hi, Stacey. So, George, can you tell me how you went vegan, why and when?
Yeah, so I was on Facebook in late 2012, and I'm a fan of JME, the grime artist, and I'd liked his page on Facebook, and he shared Gary Ruski's speech, and all he put as the text was just watch till the end or something like that. And I clicked on it. You know, it says best speech you'll ever hear. So you have no idea that it was about vegan. And I clicked on it. I was a little skeptical at first. I was like, wait, what? There's a guy giving a speech about veganism. I mean, I get vegetarianism and stuff, but why on earth would anyone be vegan? That sounds weird, right? And I gave the whole thing a listen through. And I was a bit of a coward, actually, when I first watched it. I actually skipped through the little slaughterhouse footage bits that he showed. And I'm going to be honest. I didn't even like the guy because he was like, he was playing with my cognitive dissonance. Basically, he was going against everything. exactly, going against everything I'd ever believed and thought about myself. That I was a good person who loved animals and all this. And suddenly you realize that you're funding a Holocaust and you're responsible for slavery and oppression. And it's like shit, And it really woke me up. And I spoke to my mate about it. I rung up my mate and I said, "You've got to watch this thing." I said, "It's really, messed with my head." I said, "It's about veganism." And he said, "What? No, what a load of bullshit. Like, this is not going to convince me, Matt." I said, "Just watch it." And then straight away after he watched it, he texted me and said, "Oh my God, mate." He just said, I've been beaten as well. I don't have a single counter argument. And both me and him went vegan together a few months later. It was in January the 8th, 2013, I believe. And I think the final finishing touch as well was watching Forks Over Knives, just because you hear about like the healthy bonuses and stuff like that. But, now I'm much more resolute in the fact that veganism has nothing to do with health anyway. But that was how I went vegan. It was Gary's speech and then just doing my research from there.
Yeah, I didn't watch that speech until after I went vegan. I think I'd been vegan for maybe a year before I watched that speech. Yeah. But I think if I'd have watched that at the start before I was vegan, it would have made it's very powerful.
Absolutely. I think I'd say it's probably the speech that's responsible for turning the most people vegan. Most people I speak to who I say, what made you go vegan in the first place? They say I watched Gary's speech more so than I think Earthlings and stuff. So it's the power of that speech is just incredible what it's done.
Yeah. I was going to say a quick hello to B. Hello, B. And then, yeah, you're right. I'm Easy. It is a good speech. So I know where you're based in the world because you and myself worked together for the Bristol Anonymous for the Voiceless group. We were co-organisers for almost 2 years. So do you want to let everyone know you've not been in Bristol forever though, have you? So do you want to give your background of where you're from and where you are now?
Yeah. So I'm from the southeast originally, and I was doing most of my activism and stuff in London. But I moved to Bristol, sort of the end of 2018, I think it was. I absolutely love the vegan scene in Bristol. So for anyone listening in who's not been to Bristol in the UK, do make sure that you visit. It's really, really good for veganism because, even when you go to like a non-vegan restaurant there, it will have like a separate vegan menu and stuff. And I'm not talking about chain restaurants. I'm talking about just like little independent restaurants and stuff like that. It's I think, maybe the best vegan hub, in the UK that I've seen.
Yeah. I've pointed out some of those restaurants to you, like that Indian restaurant, it's amazing. The street food.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much stuff here.
So when you went vegan, how long did it take you to become active in the animal rights movement?
Digital activism pretty much straight away. I remember when I first went vegan in 2013, within months, I'd written like a little blog with loads of like little arguments and counter arguments. It's basically sort of an amateur version of Carnism Debunked. It's kind of like this. It's in the dusty corner of the web somewhere, but I did that from day one. But obviously, it didn't have a massive audience because I'd have probably had like 400 Facebook friends at the time, all non-vegan, apart from the guy who went vegan with me. And it probably got like 2 likes on stuff. Whenever I'd share animal rights content, it would just get that sort of reaction. But I was doing that, from day one. And then when I first started getting out on the streets and stuff, doing protests and outreach and stuff like that, probably a few years later, maybe about 2000 and maybe even 2015, 16, something like that. Once I actually started building up like a sort of, when you get to know more and more people,
like a knowledge base,
yeah, exactly. And you start finding out about activism events and stuff like that.
Okay, and what was the first type of activism that you took part in?
I can't remember now. I think it must have been. I can't remember.
Online activism, of course, because online activism is valid.
Yeah, it would have 100. Yeah, it was 100% online activism. But then, when you're talking out on the streets and stuff, I don't know if it was the first cube or if I'd have been to like a protest before that. I think it might have been like a protest in 2015 or 16 or something like that.
Okay. And did you have any blocks stopping you from getting out there and getting active, apart from the knowledge base?
Yeah, I think it's kind of. I think it can be nerve-wracking at first for a lot of people. First, you're meeting a load of new people and stuff, and when you're a new vegan as well, it can be quite sort of intimidating and stuff. And kind of knowing what to do and what's effective. And people will say to you, like, if you're a vegan, well, what are you doing to be active and stuff like that. And when you first go vegan, it's often hard to know where to start. So it's I think it's a lot about knowing the right people and having sort of that knowledge base and stuff.
Yeah, the same for me. I think I just got to the point where I knew I had to do something, and I think I did a cube in Bristol and I didn't really enjoy it. And then I did some activism with another activist in Bristol that's called Friends Not Food, which was good.
What didn't you like about the cube that you did?
I think it was the one where Joey Carbstrong turned up and there was over 100 activists there. And I think I didn't feel like I was made to feel very welcome. I didn't feel like it was organized very well. I mean, there was a lot of people. I mean, I've never done a cube with that many people before. I think the 12-hour cube in Bristol was the biggest one that I did, but that was my first cube as organizer. And then when I went back and Madison was organizer, the first one was in the February and I went back in the September.
Yeah.
And it was a completely different experience. Everyone was really welcoming. I didn't feel like I wasn't wanted. I felt valued as part of the team, even though it was my first one. And I think that was the bigger difference. And I think, like I said, I think it was hard for that original activist because there were so many people at that cube. There was 2 cubes in the end as well. And I think you were there at that one, weren't you?
I was, yeah. And I know exactly what you mean. There was like, I think loads and loads and loads of people turned up that we never even saw again. I think people just came, like so many people just came to meet Joey, which I think is, you know, that's kind of disappointing. You should be there for the animals rather than just because so and so is there.
Exactly.
But, you know, but then, you know, there obviously are counter arguments to what I just said. You know, people can just say, yeah, but, you know, having that presence and stuff there of like a well-known activist, if it gets more people there, then, so I know there's arguments on both sides, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's why. But I then, when I went back, I loved it. And I think it was only 2 months later that I was made organizer, and then you came down and we were co-organised in January. But you set up the first Cube of Truth in the UK, right?
Yes. So that was in late 2016. I set up the London chapter. Yeah, that was the first one. And now London has evolved, and I think there must be like 11 chapters in London now. So, yeah. Thank you, Stacey. That's very kind.
I agree 100%. I'm so glad and honoured to have stood by his side and worked with him. I really enjoyed working alongside you. So, how did you find out about the events and get involved? Did you just look online? Did you reach out to people?
It was all about knowing people, and in some cases it was people coming to me, like with the Cube, for example. Like it was like Paul Bashir actually said to me, how about, you know, because I said to him, wow, this Cube of Truth stuff that you do in Australia looks really cool. And he was just like, well, why don't you just do one in the UK? And I was like, wait, what sort of thing? So that's kind of how that one started. And then like with protests and stuff, it's all about just because my statuses sort of got popular and stuff, and they started getting shared around. Like I built up loads and loads of friends on Facebook that way, and then you start getting invited to events, and you start seeing people sharing statuses and stuff. And you know, now you go on like events on Facebook, and your calendar's just full. You know, you can't miss anything, and that's just how it works. And I think that would be my advice to new vegans who are like, shit, how do I get active? What do I do? Is just build up like a friend base on social media. Yeah.
Totally. And once you become active in one group, you make friends. Like I've made friends with you and Gail and Paul and so many other people, and Angus, that you know where to go next. You know, I found Josephine because of Angus. So, you know, and Josephine keeps me up to date with loads of stuff that's going on, and was just really good for having lots of things to go on, just not great for having people turn up. But
that's the annoying thing about Bristol. Yeah, for sure.
But it'll get there. So what's your favourite form of activism to do for you?
The one that my favourite form of activism would have to be street outreach. I mean, it's just what I'm good at. It's what I feel that I can offer. And I think that's something very important for people if they're wondering what kind of activism to do and to spend most of their time on, it should be the thing that plays most into their talents. And I consider myself good at like advocating for animal rights and talking about it and debunking the arguments and stuff like that. So for me, I think outreach would be my favorite kind of thing, because you know, it's just something that I'm comfortable with, and you know, the results are very rewarding as well when you speak to someone and they say they're going to change as a result of you. So I think it's a very good feeling coming home at the end of some outreach and knowing that you've made a difference.
Yeah, after a good Cube, I'm always buzzing when I get home. I think I had a bad run November, December. I was just like frustrated. I think I remember coming back in January and saying, I'm not doing outreach today. I'll stay on the camera. And then
I'm on a terrible run at the moment. I mean, I'd say at least my last probably 8 or 10 outreach events, I've just ended up speaking to nutters who
you do attract them.
It's correct. I have no idea how I always get lumped with them, but I do. And I mean, even though I'm on a very bad run with the outreach recently, you know, the ones where, and it is a bit like that. It's a bit of a gamble. It's like, you know, you turn up one day and you'll have a great day, and another day in just absolutely nothing, and you feel like you haven't changed a single person. But it's still worth going to regardless, because, you know, the person you do change that one time you turn up, it could have a huge effect. Yeah,
definitely. The good outweighs the bad. I think my last Cube that I did, I had some really good conversations, and then I went and spoke to someone in the last 10 minutes and it was rubbish. I was like, I should have left it on ended my last Cube on a good one. But yeah, you can never tell. It's hit and miss. I prefer talking to the kids, though. That's what I like doing, talking to the teenagers. Those are my favorite ones.
Oh, well, it depends. Sometimes, you know, because I know there's all these things that go around about the younger generation is so much more open and susceptible, but sometimes you just get stuck with a bunch of little shits and you think, well, that's that's that myth completely, you know, disproven.
I agree. So we'd love to see more street outreach videos from George. He's a fantastic outreacher. Yeah, he is. He's taught me a lot. And I love overhearing him, especially if I'm stood in the queue at the time and can overhear what you're saying. It's great. Like the whole the house burglar thing that you did.
Oh yeah, so yeah, I know that was one that you liked last time you stood in the queue and you heard me talking to someone. I think it's the idea that I think it was a group of young girls I think I was speaking to, and they sort of said, yeah, but me going vegan won't change anything, so there's no point, or something like that. And I just made the analogy of, okay, you not burgling a house tonight won't stop burglary, but does that give you the right to burgle someone's house? And the thing is, with supply and demand, it's actually more effective because burglary isn't based on supply and demand, whereas you know, the animal holocaust is based on what you buy and stuff. So we actually do have a chance of stopping the animal holocaust if enough people don't buy the products. But you know, even if the vast majority of people don't stop burglary, people are still going to burgle. So her argument would actually be more relevant to that, if anything.
Definitely. Stacey, I've seen your comment. I will send you send me a private message on Instagram and I'll tell you what I am on Facebook. So I don't want to give my surname out on YouTube. So how do you fit your activism into your life? Before lockdown, obviously.
Yeah, well, I think that the key thing is to think of your life as activism. So it's not so much a point of fitting activism into your life. It's more, I see it as more of a point of that your life is driven by activism. If we get such a short time on this earth, and I think it's very important that we wake up each day actually wanting to make a change, even if you can't go out or something that day, you know, just doing on something online, like making a meme or writing a powerful status or something like that. That's the way I think of it. But you know, we all do have like other commitments and stuff that can get in the way of like doing things physically. But you know, we can always do something, even if we're even extremely busy people can fit activism of some form into their life, because it's the digital age. We have the power of the internet now. So there's no real excuse for anyone not to do at least something.
Yeah, even if it's a social media post, right? Or...
Yeah, exactly. There's always just a little something you can do. And it all, you know, if enough people do it, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. I just realized I'm making a schoolboy error. I'm streaming on the Wi-Fi and I haven't plugged my internet cable in, so I'm just going to do that just in case.
Cool.
Because the other half is upstairs playing games and he will use the internet.
Just reading some of these comments now, guys. And yeah, paradigm shift. Thanks very much for that comment. I'm going to be doing some stuff hopefully with We the Free, which Rebecca is going to be organising and stuff. So hopefully if we have like the recording equipment there, you'll see some more outreach stuff from me pretty soon. It's just annoying with all this lockdown stuff going on. It's been very stop-start with all the outreach stuff, but yeah.
Well, I am getting a new camera. I just need to save up and get the remote mic, and we will be recording. Definitely. Nice. So what does being an animal rights activist mean to you?
It's very important to me. It gives me a purpose in life. I know that sounds kind of depressing and down, but I think, well, do you know what I mean? It gives you such a reason to live for, because I think before I was vegan, I had very much, my life was based around just sort of like the same sort of cliched things that we're all taught by society to be your goals. It's like, you know, your goal in life should be get the best job and have kids and get married and the house with the white picket fence and blah, blah, blah. And if you can't get those things, then, you know, you're going to be depressed and it's going to be horrible. But now I'm kind of like, I think it's kind of liberating to know that you're here to sort of make a difference. And now my goals in life are to actually to change things. So when I die, I don't want people to look back and say George Martin had a good job. I don't give a shit about that anymore. I want people to look back and say George Martin made a difference to the animals. And that's what I think we should, those should be everyone's aspirations as an activist, to say, when I die, I want people to remember me for the person who did something to change things.
Excuse the cattail. Can't take. And what would you say to other vegans that aren't active for the animals? What would you say to inspire them, or those that are struggling to get active?
I'd say, I understand if you're nervous about stuff. It can be very nerve-wracking meeting new people and knowing what to do and doing all these things for the first time. But I promise you, there is a form of activism out there for you. Treat it like plant milk, right? You might not like a certain type. Maybe you don't like soy milk, but there will be one plant milk that you like. Activism is like that. There's always going to be something. And think of your skills. What are you good at as a person? Well, whatever it is, guess what? There's something for you. And people might listen to that and say, oh, well, I'm shit at everything. All I can do is like draw and stuff. Like, I'm good at painting, but that's all I can do. It's like, well, there you are. That's your form of activism you can do. You can do animal rights paintings and stuff and share them online. Like, there's whatever your skill is, your hobby, your interest, there is something you can do to be a powerful voice for the animals.
Yeah, 100% agree. So what I'm going to do, we're going to move on to some Q&A in a minute. We're going to work like a workshop. So if any of you got any issues or difficulties that you find, then we'll try and answer them between us the best we can, how to, give good comebacks. But first of all, I just want George to talk a little bit about his website and his YouTube channel, and particularly the website, what led you on to creating it and what it's all about.
Yeah, so I set up Carnism Debunked in 2017 now. And I just thought it would be great to have a place online where people can go and they've got all the counter arguments there to all the common anti-vegan objections that we get. And, it's something that I've always enjoyed doing, is debunking these arguments via statuses and stuff online. So I thought, what better thing to do than to compile all the main anti-vegan arguments and put them in one place. And it's great for people it's great for anti-vegans who are searching for an argument and they're against veganism, and then it comes up and it's all debunked. But it's great for vegans as well, because maybe you're coming home from a stressful day at work and you're on the long commute and you're on your phone and someone's commented plants though on your status, and maybe you can't be asked to type something out. So you can just go to Carnism Debunked and just say, there you go, here's this page, and just copy and paste that argument or something. It's convenient as well for activists. And that's sort of the two purposes that the site serves. It's good for vegans and it's good for the anti-vegans as well. As for my YouTube channel, I set that up, I think, the same year. And I wasn't putting that much content out back in the day due to other commitments. But now I have more time to build my own platform and stuff like that. And there's some lovely people helping support me on Patreon as well. So I've got more time to make videos and stuff like that. And I'm really hoping to grow the channel. So folks, if you haven't subscribed, it's just Carnism Debunked on YouTube. Please go and subscribe. And whenever you see a vegan's channel online, just subscribe to it. It's really important that we subscribe to each other's channels and like each other's content and stuff like that, because YouTube is dominated by meat and dairy and eggs and stuff, and people cooking steak. Someone cooking a steak gets 2 million views and 2 million likes, and then someone doing an impassioned speech about animal rights, it gets 100 views or something like that. And it's very important that we have to change the landscape of the internet. So it's, vegans have a much more powerful voice.
Yeah, definitely. I often go to your Carnism Debunked website and copy and paste it. One thing I struggle with, I don't mind public speaking, but when I'm typing things out on the internet, I just get my words muddled up. And
you're the opposite of me. See, I'm writing is my thing. This is what I'm good at. I'm really good at articulating my thoughts on stuff through typing stuff out, and that's why it really suits my strengths to make the website. But when I'm doing, say I'm doing a speech or something at an animal rights march, that can get a bit nerve-wracking. In fact, the last speech I did in Bristol, I think I forgot my words the halfway through. I was like, oh shit.
You were great. And I believe that in the description I have put a link to your channel on there. I'm quite sure I did. So go and check George's channel out. this is brilliant. So I don't know if anyone knows or is watching. I've been doing shorts every day in the advent calendar run up to Christmas on different ideas that you can do for activism. Simple little things, some big things, some little things. So I'm really glad, Buddy Paws, that you've been thinking about doing some stickering, and you could print your own off as well. What to do if someone sees you in the supermarket and stops you? Well, what was it? I think it was the year before last. I put a sticker on some milk, and I went off to the end of the aisle and was just looking at something else, and the security guard came out. He's like, "You all right?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm just like looking for my husband. I can't see him anywhere. I've lost him," and just make it up. But you don't, if you don't want to do stickering in the supermarket, then don't. You just put them on, lampposts or something, or even just drop the sticker into the shelf. You don't have to put it physically on there, because I know that some people are worried about that. Or yeah, you could put stickers in Christmas cards. That is a good one. That's a good one.
The thing is with activism, I think all activism carries some sort of like little risks. So some of the risks are more severe than the others, but it's always worth, sometimes you just got to be brave and say, look, there's an unlikely chance that this will happen, and you just got to have a little look around and quick little sticker inside the egg box or whatever, and then just walk off.
That's what I do. I look at the eggs to make sure they're not broken, and I just put a sticker inside it, so when they open it up, it's the first thing they see.
Yeah.
George, great. The channel is great, so that's lovely. Grumpy. I love the plant milk analogy for activism. Yeah, I never thought of that before. George is really good at analogies. We'll just say that. Anything you see me do an analogy on, it's probably because I've stolen it from George. So I'm going to open the floor up. So if you've got any questions about what to say to debunk, if you've come across any difficulties when you've been talking to family or friends or online, then let us know, and we'll see if we can help you out with those.
Family and friends, yeah. Because and Gary Yourofsky always said, actually, family and friends are the hardest people to convert.
They are.
So I definitely understand if people have had some objections and stuff from family and stuff, especially around Christmas time as well. But yeah, the truth is often they can just be the hardest people to get through to.
Yep. So we've got one here, and it's, what are your views on medical trials on animals? Any vaccine trial? Well, I'm against it.
Yeah, every single vegan is against. Yeah, every single vegan is against animals being tested on for anything. Just with medicine stuff, though, I think the vast majority, if not all medicines I know in the UK, have to be tested by law on animals. So that's one of the things that fits into the practicable and possible definition of veganism. So I think the Vegan Society website even says not to refuse medication for vegan reasons. That's not my view necessarily on the vaccine specifically, by the way, but I mean just for anything to do with medication in general. If you feel that you need to take a medication and the doctor's prescribed you some kind of medication or something, you don't have to feel that you shouldn't take it because it's being animal tested.
No, we don't live in a vegan world, unfortunately, and
yeah.
There are campaigns out there that you can support that are against animal testing, that they're pushing for it and lobbying for it. So search them out. That's what I would say.
We have to change the mentality. Yeah,
definitely. Honeybees and almond crops, and this is USA, not SA. So are you saying when people say about honey, why don't you have honey and the honeybees?
So
I think
bees pollinate a good lot of the crops that we do eat. And it doesn't just stop at bees. You might eat some rice, for example, and it could be an enslaved bullock that is plowing the field for that rice that you ate in India or something like that. So it's awful to think that even a lot of plant foods in this unjust world are not free from exploitation. The key difference is when you buy a plant food, you don't know about the exact injustice that's taking place behind it. But when you buy an animal product, you're always eating someone's corpse. You're always eating the secretions of a murdered mother that was intended for her baby. That's the key difference here. And it's about, I mean, the farms of the world are run by non-vegans. They're not run by vegans. So anything to do with farming is the fault of non-vegans. It's not our fault that animal exploitation still takes place in crop farming. Or again, it's kind of like the medicines thing. It's we have to create a vegan world in order to stamp this exploitation out of even crop farming.
Yeah,
but
and we have to go on. Sorry,
I was just going to say, veganism isn't about being perfect or walking around with a halo over your head and pretending that you do no harm. We all do harm, unfortunately, in this world. But what I always say is, veganism is far from perfect, but it's a million miles closer to perfect than carnism is.
Yeah, agree. It's like we had, do you remember the Cuba Truth we did, and you were talking to the sheep farmer?
I think so, yeah.
Said if I had a choice, and I had some pamphlets from the Grow Green Project. So, you know, pushing the Grow Green Project is a brilliant form of activism as well. So you can pop that online, because you never know, someone you know might be a farmer, or you might know they might know somebody else that's a farmer, and if they know about the Grow Green Project, then that's going to help, surely.
Yeah.
So I hear about the UK Vegan Families kid all the time. He is amazing. Like, he screams when they're in the milk aisle going, it's cow booby juice and that's disgusting and things like that.
I think I might have to do that myself. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I do you know what? I cannot wait for all of this to be over and meet the UK Vegan Family and go out shopping with her kid. I'll proudly walk him down the aisles of meat and milk and get him to shout stuff. I think it's just so much better coming from a 3-year-old. Let's see, what else have we got? I don't know. Hopefully I haven't missed anybody. Here we go. I've heard that non-animal testing is cheaper and more efficient. Yeah, that is true. It's not a question.
Yeah. But then there must be some reason they haven't shut it down. It's like, what is the argument that the pro-vivisectionists give if it is cheaper to just test without? I'm not understanding, like, why are we still doing it in this day and age?
Because they're sadists, probably.
Yeah.
So, Muddy Paws. Oh my God, my husband Andrew is watching. Please ask him to give up fish. So what would you say to Andrew to help him give up fish, George?
Andrew, if you're watching, thanks for watching. Remember, veganism isn't about giving anything up. It's about not taking what isn't yours. So those animals, they don't belong to us. And I also think, as vegans as well, I don't think we should, I slip up here as well. And sometimes I say fish. It kind of removes their individuality as creatures, I should say. So Andrew is eating fishes. There's that whole sort of disconnect it creates when we say stuff like, oh, so-and-so eats chicken or so-and-so eats fish, when really they're eating individuals. They're not like this whole, there's not just like this blanket sort of over them. And you're eating an individual every time you eat them. And just to further elaborate on that, Andrew, and how fishes are actually individuals in their own right, is, no fish actually wants to die. They might be less intelligent than us, and they might not look like us, but they still swim to avoid predators. They still want to live in the same way we still want to live. And with all the alternatives out there as well, it doesn't make sense that we'd continue to cause violence to animals in this day and age. So,
no, Andrew, and for me, it's the fact that when you take that fish out of the water, that they are going to be suffocating for 10 minutes. They're suffocating.
Yeah. And Andrew, I say this as a former fisherman, by the way. I used to go fishing, and I've done that myself. I've pulled fish out of the water and suffocated them and clubbed them over the head, and I look back now and think how indoctrinated I was, and why would I do that to any sentient being when I can just eat something else? There's just absolutely no point in this day and age for us to continue murdering animals when we have other alternatives.
Not at all. In fact, Muddy Paws, I'll send you a message later. There is a great video out there by Earth and Ed about why we shouldn't eat fish, and maybe your husband will watch that, because it's it's like, I always said that I could be pescatarian. I'd never be vegetarian or vegan, because I loved seafood. I loved scallops. I loved squid, and I was definitely a fish eater more than anything else. So,
and there's vegan versions of all those things as well.
Exactly.
I made a vegan fish pie the other night, and you get the flavorings right. You can use the sea vegetables that give you the flavors of the sea. So you can add like nori and kelp and laver and stuff like that, and caper brine and all that kind of stuff. And, you get all that same taste that you enjoy.
Yeah, we have scallops with mushrooms.
Yeah, king oyster mushrooms. Yeah, I made those as well the other day. It's
So good.
fantastic. Yeah, yeah.
So, do you think vegans who feed farm animals to pet animals, even when plant-based food is available, are hypocrites?
Good question, Vegan King. Yeah, so I do think that every vegan should, research for the alternatives available. There are many vegans though who are in like an awful predicament. I mean, it's very simple with dogs, for example. Like if someone says, "Yeah, I feed my dog's an omnivore, so I feed them. My dog's not a vegan like me, so I feed them the dead animals." And it's like, well, they can just but there's the alternatives out there, and there's no such thing as a natural diet either for like. People feeding a dog like a cow or something. Since when have chihuahuas hunted cows and stuff? So it's just an insane argument. But there are people who are in a much bigger predicament. I mean, like snakes. Someone who's vegan and they've got a snake in their care, and there's so many. It's such like a catch-22. Every single alternative, like what do? Do you have the snake put down? Do you release the snake into the wild? Do you just give the snake to someone else? In which case, that person's just going to be feeding the snake dead animals. And there's no easy answer to any of those things. So it's just yeah, my simple answer to that in many cases, Vegan King, is I don't know, if they're a hypocrite or not, if they have certain animals in their care, and what on earth do those people do who have a snake or a tarantula and stuff? And I think that's very much a thing we have to discuss as vegans, because I don't think there's a perfect answer to it at all. No. Other than stop breeding snakes. People, they shouldn't be pets.
Well, this is the thing, like in the future, in a perfect vegan world, pets will be a thing of the past anyway. I mean, my companion animals, I spoke to you about this. I think we were after an event, we were like having our food and stuff afterwards, and I said, does that make me a non-vegan because I've got cats and I feed my cats turkeys and stuff? And you were like, no, because they're carnivores. But something I always struggled with, every time I had to put my hand in that bag of biscuits and feed this other animal that, I'm kind of putting the life of my cats above the life of these turkeys that I'm paying for to be brutally treated and murdered. And the other thing with pet food for dogs and cats, a lot of it, there's only a very small amount of animals in them anyway. A lot of it is soy and other proteins and stuff and filled up with other things. So my cats are all vegan now. Well, they're not vegan, they're plant-based. They still go out and hunt, but the food that they have at home is a vegan food, and they're thriving. Yeah. They've been on it since August and they're doing so well.
I think my answer to you at the time actually was more along the lines of, because you were feeding them tinned cat food and stuff, and I said,
dry food it was.
Yeah, as far as I know, a lot of that stuff is like a byproduct anyway, so it's a less direct way of funding animal slaughter. It's kind of more giving the money to those pet food companies than to the slaughter industry. But maybe it does. Like, I don't know, but it's a horrible predicament to be in. But it's great that you've done your research now and you've managed to put your cats onto a plant-based diet and stuff. And I was very happy to hear that. That's great.
Yeah, and I'm really happy, and they love it. There's been no difference. I've been watching them like a hawk, and you would see it very quick, especially with cats. I would see the decline very, very quickly. There's another great bit of activism that UK Vegan Family Son's done. I wanted to say it, but I didn't want to just intrude because I knew about this anyway. So he's amazing when he pours. He will ask someone if someone is vegan, and the other day at nursery, he pushed a kid's glass of cow milk out of the way and said, "That's disgusting." And then all the kids copied. And then you had to have a conversation about choices, I think.
Wow.
But that is an activist in the making right there. I'm just going to scroll up. I'm hoping I haven't missed any. I think I've gone up too far. Here we are. So we've done that one. So this back on the almonds. Also argued almond crops and the beekeepers is now a symbiotic relationship because they need each other to survive. Yeah. Right. What else have we got? Funding. One word, lobbying. See, this is something I need to learn more about. It's not something I know much about, if I'm honest, with regards to lobbying. So
I think Stacey's there talking about the vivisection thing.
Oh,
maybe.
the vivisection. Okay.
Yeah, and that's why. So there's always people pushing to get it done because it suits them financially. And yeah, that, I guess that's the way the world is run, right? If there's someone has a financial interest in something, they're always going to be in bed with the politicians and whoever else, so that it, you know, even if there's no rational reason to continue doing it, it will anyway.
So is this the same person that commented on my video and you wanted to know how to get involved in activism? And I did a video with a Belfast activist for you. Is that right? I can't say your name's obviously Irish, so I'm not going to be able
Eva,
to.
I think it's pronounced Eva.
Eva. Is
Yeah,
that right? Have we pronounced it right? Yeah, family are really hard to talk to. This is why I love doing street activism, because when you talk to strangers, it's completely different. Completely different.
Yeah, whenever I ask them a question, tell them something, they make an irrelevant remark about something bad I've done. Oh God. Oh my God. Yeah, that's just awful. I mean, it's like an ad hominem or a tu quoque, where, yeah, I think it's more a tu quoque, that's called, where they said, oh, and that's a fallacy where someone just goes, oh yeah, well, you do this. It's just like, okay, but me doing that doesn't necessarily make murder and slavery okay, does it? But
No,
yeah, and I'll tell you what, Eva, you know, sometimes with family and friends, you've just got to, I use the word not accept, but we just have to acknowledge that it's like talking to a brick wall a lot of the time. And it's better to spend our time actually trying to convince the people who do want to change, because there are people out there who are thirsting to change. They really want to hear this information. And it's better that we spend our time on those people. But yeah, I know how you feel. And I think most of us, we're probably the only vegan in our family. I know that's the case with me. And is that the case as well with you, Rebecca?
Yeah, just me and Dan. So I'm lucky that Dan's vegan, but I'm hoping that Evie was able to reach out to Cliff and that he was able to help you. I'm sure it's the same person that I'm thinking of. So we've got Wholesome James stepped in. Glad you're enjoying it.
Thanks, James.
Let's have a look. So we've got, this is a new vegan as well. I did see earlier they said they were new vegan, and they were on a stream a couple of weeks ago, I think, as well. So we are not able to relate with oysters and prawns as we relate to mammals. In veganism, is it okay to eat oysters as they don't show much movement?
Yeah, good question. Because science, I think is a little bit up in the air on oyster sentience. It might be the case that they're not sentient, in which case there would be like a plant. But vegans, I think, should give oysters and mollusks the benefit of the doubt. So they are animals; they're in the kingdom Animalia, and you know, maybe we don't have the science yet to show if they do have some kind of sentience. And it's just a case of maybe just thinking, well, maybe they do, and maybe they do have some form of moral value, and you know, there's no point in eating them because there's just something else we can eat that we know for sure is not sentient, and that's plants. So eat plants instead. And
then Gail said both her dogs are vegan. Gail's an amazing activist. I've done a couple of things with her on my channel, so do check them out because she's so passionate. It's brilliant. Have we got any more questions about debunking things that you've had, questions that you've had from non-vegans? And then if not, we'll just do a nice, be nice, free for all George questions. But yeah, has anyone got any other? What are your favourite comebacks that you've had when you've been on outreach? What are the best ones that people have come up to you with for eating animals?
You're asking me or the commenters?
Yeah, for you. Sorry.
The funniest comeback I ever heard on outreach. It was actually a bystander helping us out with a group of unruly bystanders. So it was at a cube in Manchester. And there was this group of like teenage girls proper trolling the cube. Like they were awful. They were awful little shits. Like they were pointing at the footage and laughing and stuff. Like the chicks were being shredded and stuff. And they were pointing and laughing at the footage. It was just disgusting, really. And we were trying to get them away. It's just like, look, we don't care if you don't like our form of activism, just get out of here. You know, it's not funny what you're doing and blah, blah, blah. And this random guy just come along off the street and he just goes to one of the girls, the ringleader of the group of girls. And he just goes, excuse me, love, how old are you? And she just goes, I'm 14. And he just goes, I wanted your age, love, not your IQ. Everyone was like, oh! And that was, I think, my favorite ever comeback I've heard to anything. And it wasn't even an outreacher doing it. It was a bystander.
And so what odd excuses have you had for people saying, you know, to justify eating abusing animals?
The worst that I've heard many crazy excuses. We all have. The craziest one I ever saw, though, was actually on social media. And it was someone saying that if we don't eat animals, animals will eventually evolve into giant serpents and rule over us.
What?
So I don't know how they came to that conclusion. Yeah, but giant serpents, though, that would be the worst argument I've ever heard, for sure.
Giant serpents, though. We've got another one from the new vegan. Is it fine to kill mosquitoes? Does that make us a hypocrite?
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one. And you know what? I think I'm blessed to live in a country where we don't have this problem at all. I will never have this conundrum for as long until I visit Africa again or something like that. I think the last time I had any bother with mosquitoes, I was on, it'd probably been when I was in like Botswana or something when I was about 13. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, maybe it depends on whether you've had like the malaria shot or not, something like that. But yeah, I would say if you can avoid swatting them, don't do it.
Yeah, use mosquito repellent. I mean, like when we were in India, I was vegan, but we had mosquito repellent and we had netting and we had the malaria vaccine and stuff like that. Mosquitoes are actually, I can't remember where I saw it, but they're actually vital to, you know, the whole ecosystem. So we do need them. So don't kill them, just use some stuff that
you know the controversial reason why they're vital to the ecosystem.
What's that?
It's because they keep the human population down. I mean, it's a lot of people will think that's horrible to say, but that's probably a part of the reason why they are vital to the ecosystem. They're actually the second most dangerous animal on the planet after humans. It's humans first, then it's mosquitoes.
Let's have a look. Some lab-grown meat going on. What do you think about the whole lab-grown meat?
Yeah, George? So the whole lab-grown meat thing, that's a good point from Vegan King. That could be the answer to the whole conundrum of feeding animals to our household animals. So if we can have lab-grown meat and stuff and feed that to snakes and stuff, that could be a solution. I don't think vegans should eat lab-grown meat because I think that kind of connotates, I'd see that as kind of like a backyard egg thing. The harm isn't done directly to the animal so much, but more it's like a wider sort of like maybe it'd promote the idea that animal bodies are here for us to eat and stuff like that. But as an alternative for household animals to eat and stuff, yeah, I think it could be a good idea as long as it was done absolutely without any kind of suffering at all.
My thing about lab-grown meat is I won't try it because there's, you know, if I do want something that tastes like meat, then there are loads of alternatives out there. I think it is good for, you know, it's going to be better for the factory farmed animals, but to me, I'm still against it because they are taking the cells of that animal without their permission. So in my eyes, it's still, you know, exploitation. You know, how would you feel as a human if someone came up to you and just took your cells without you knowing, you know, without your permission? So, but you know, it's a vegan debate. I think a lot. I saw someone say the other day that they would try it, but I wouldn't.
Vegan King says, ha ha ha, hey, I heard that one too, George. Vegan King, I hope you're not referring to the giant serpents argument, because if more than one person has heard that giant serpents argument, that is very concerning.
Vegan King, which argument do you hate debunking the most? That's a really good question. Can you write out my interview questions next time, please, Vegan King? That's a good one.
The one that's the most eye-rolling is the protein one. But here's the thing. I haven't heard that in a long time. As in, where do you get your protein? I think there's some kind of little revolution going on, and people are actually waking up. Definitely over the past maybe 3 years or so, I think non-vegans now, by and large, are realizing that you can get protein elsewhere. I think the reason for that is because now everyone knows a vegan. So every single non-vegan there is, they've got a vegan cousin or a vegan nephew or a vegan friend or whatever. And so they know it's bullshit that we don't have to get protein from animals. But that was always the biggest eye roller back in the day, because you'd hear it every single day. Back when I went vegan in 2013, every day, where do you get your protein? You'd hear it every single day. But I guess nowadays it would probably be like the one that still just hasn't died and won't die will be either the plants one or the lions one. I think
B12
lions
as well.
do you know what? B12 I actually find is the least annoying one, because it's the one where it actually shows that they've done some kind of research about what the fuck they're talking about. Like the lions and the plants one, I mean, it's just the stupidest thing. But when they come with the whole B12 one, I can just answer, well, look, we can get B12 from some other sources. But I like at least the fact that they've somewhat done their research. And I guess I'd, in that sense, find that one of the less annoying ones.
What are you asking, Gwen? Do you... Oh, where's it gone? That one. Do you feel about this? Sorry if I missed the question. If it's about the intersectional thing, we're not talking about intersectionals today. We're not talking about it. So let's have a look. So the one that bugs me is the religion one. That's what I hate debunking it, especially if I don't know a lot about that religion.
Yeah, religious people can be very tough to get through to. It's good that we have religious vegans on our side who can actually talk to their fellow religious people and stuff. I'm not a religious person, obviously, so it's good that there are vegan Christians and vegan Muslims and vegan Jews, because there's the idea in a lot. It's very hard to combat the idea that, because it's if someone's saying to you, well, my God says that they put the animals on here for us to eat, it's very hard to try and break that mentality. It's a slave master mentality when someone thinks that other beings have been put there to serve them. And no matter what you say, it just can't work with them because they say, no, my book says it. That's very hard to show. But I think it's just more about, getting through to them and just saying, look, at the time, you have to take historical context and stuff into account. Compare it to human harm. Is what I usually do. I say, look, in your holy book, whatever it is, there's verses in there that condone harming humans as well. But you, as a person living now, you'd say, look, you have to factor historical context into account. They have to apply the same thing to animals as well.
Yeah, I didn't realize that the original Quran says about not eating animals, and there's nothing in there to say you should eat animals. But then in the revised version of the Quran, that's when it says it. So it depends on what version you're looking at, but that's something I need to work on. It's definitely, I remember having, when the bees thing came out on QI, and they were saying about that avocados aren't vegan because of the bees, and I had literally within a week I had someone ask me that on Outreach, and I answered the best I could, but then I went home and I researched, and that's the main trick with Outreach. I think if you do, you're always working, you're always growing, and you're always learning on what to say. And there's new things coming out all the time. So just go and do your research, and also talk to your fellow activists, because we're all there to support each other. And I definitely know that I've gone to George for help, and I've gone to Gail, definitely gone to Gail for help on a few things. I mean, how she stays calm on some of our conversations, I've got no idea. But she's great. Anyone else got any questions at all?
I just want to pick up on something I just saw in a comment there. So Stacey said about the vegan creatine stuff, and Grumpy Vegan Grandad correctly responded by saying creatine is actually manufactured in our bodies. So a lot of carnists might say stuff about you can't get creatine as a vegan, and as far as I know, there isn't creatine in any plant foods, which means it's not an essential amino acid, because all the plant foods have all the dietary amino acids we need. Our bodies create the exact amount of creatine needed. So anything that's not a dietary amino acid your body just creates. So the dietary amino acids are the ones we need, and they're all found in plants. Your body will just create the rest, and creatine is one of those, and carnosine and carnitine as well. So
I've just seen this response to Grumpy, which he definitely needs to do because he is getting on a bit. So there you go.
I think, yeah, I guess that's for gym and stuff, though, Stacey. Like,
he does work out though. Grumpy does go to the gym and run it, and he's how old are you, Grumpy? Now in your late 60s, I think. I'm joking. I love you, really. Do you have 53? So you should really. The religious argument is another one. You quote scriptures, for example. With Islam, I would talk about poisoning our bodies or the planet being haram. Yeah, I saw a good one. I can't remember who it was they were talking about that. I think it might have been Joey. Now, what's your language, Grumpy? I'm not putting that on the screen. That's just rude. So back from Vegan King. George, I know an argument which is on par with the serpent one. Lions would roam around cities and kill humans because of veganism. Brilliant.
I mean, that's bad, but no, Vegan King, I think the serpent one takes it, mate. I'm sorry, but I still think the serpent one is just the worst.
So I don't know what this is about, but there's electric cars, so we'll leave that one. Not over the hill yet. No, he's not quite yet. We have a little back and forth banter. He calls me a lesbian elf, and I call him an old man. So, shouldn't have the name Grumpy Vegan Grandad, really. But no, I love him, really. Nikki, I didn't know that. She's 51. So we're going to ask any more questions, first of all, and then if not, we'll wrap it up. But I want to say a massive thank you for George for coming on. And I know we're mates and we haven't seen each other much since lockdown and things, but yeah, I'm really grateful that you came on today and hopefully help some people out with some debunking. Don't forget to check his website out and like and subscribe to both channels and hit the notification bell. Here we go. Here's another one. This is a new vegan. I like the new vegan asking questions. According to veganism, unnecessary killing of animals is wrong, but the example that we are in a survival situation, like on a ship in the middle of the ocean, would it be okay to eat seafood?
Yeah, now I do have probably a weird view on this compared to a lot of vegans. I know probably most vegans would say, yes, it's okay to do it in this situation to survive. My argument would be that it's not okay. It's understandable. I understand if someone would do that out of desperation. But I guess it's speciesist to say that it's morally acceptable to do that. The reason I say it's speciesist to say that it's okay in survival situations to kill and eat an animal is because we would not apply that to a human. And I'll make you an analogy. Let's say only you and one other person in the world share your blood type, and there's a person dying and they need your blood to survive, and they have to kill you to get your blood or something. Maybe that's maybe a heart transplant. I don't know. And they need you're the only person whose heart can save them. Would it be ethical for people to kill you and then give them your heart because it's a survival situation for that person? And obviously the answer would be no. So to be honest, I don't think the idea, what's so special about us that someone else should deserve to die to feed us?
Yeah.
And yeah, I know probably the majority of vegans actually wouldn't agree with me on that. But yeah, as I say, understandable, but not morally acceptable. So.
No. And it's like what Stacey said, it's like the desert island scenario. And I've had the house fire scenario. So if there's a house fire, would you say the baby or the cat? Why put me in that? We're not in that scenario every day. We're not stuck on a boat out at sea every day. It's about being realistic. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't even entertain those questions. If a non-vegan asks you those questions, I wouldn't even entertain them. In fact, I'm sorry that I even entertained that a moment ago. I should have just said there's no point in even answering.
Do you believe the earth is flat? No, I don't. George, no, you don't either. No, you don't. I think we might have a troll. Okay. But they're funny. Do you know if you eat meat, you become a vampire?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, again, analogies are really good. And Gwen, yeah, I agree. It's never okay to murder. However, I do put my life above the life of others. It is specious, but it is the truth. Yeah.
Yeah, we do all naturally do that. As I say,
Or
it's
you
completely
benefit yourself.
understandable.
Yeah. Whether you're a meat eater or not, you
Eat seaweed in that situation, indeed. Yeah.
eat seaweed, definitely. Is it him though? If I've got him on my channel, I've made it, right? He's under a different name. Jesus. So yeah, I think we'll wrap it up because the questions are coming slower. I will ask a question on behalf of the UK vegan family, because they always ask it. So tofu or tempeh?
Oh, I'm more of a tofu man myself. I do like tempeh, but I think, I think maybe it depends on the dish. I don't know, but yeah, I'd say I'm more of a tofu man.
Yeah, I'm the same, tofu. And I think B always asks the pizza question: pineapple or no pineapple?
Yeah, no pineapple on a pizza. It doesn't have a place on a pizza. Sorry.
So let's have a look. We've got another one here from.
Thanks, Aaron. That's very kind, by the way. Gail,
Yeah.
great to see you again, George. Hopefully see you out on the streets. Yeah, it'd be good to see you again soon as well, Gail. Thanks a lot.
My next live stream is in 2 weeks. So my live streams are every other Monday. And my pre-recorded videos go up on Thursdays at 6:30. But so the next live stream is in 2 weeks, and I have the UK vegan family on my live stream, and they're going to be talking about fantastic project they're doing, which I really want everyone to get behind. It's about making veganism normalized in schools and nurseries, and it's a brilliant idea. So that'll be the next one. So 2 weeks from today, 7:30 again. Just some lovely comments. Thank you, Gwen. Thank you, UK vegan family. Now, I've really enjoyed it. I've been really lucky with the people I've spoken to. So far, I've known most of them apart from one, which was the lovely Justin from Canada, which was still a great stream. But yeah, thanks again, everybody. And Christmas fancy dress stream, maybe. Maybe. I am planning on doing a 500 subs stream party when I hit 500 subs. So don't forget to share all the videos. And hopefully we can hit 500 subs before Christmas. Yeah, it is nice to see him again. I've missed him.
Thanks, Grumpy.
Oh,
cheers,
some
Aaron.
lovely messages.
Thanks, Stacey.
Thank you.
Cheers, Satan inside. Thanks, Nikki.
And the new vegan loved it as well. Reach out to me on Instagram or George on Instagram as well if you have any troubles with those questions in Decision New.
Yeah, absolutely. My door is always open as well.
You need that mic. Yeah, it's a good mic. I'm a spoilt child. My husband gave me a really good mic.
Yeah, mate.
George Martin is a legend.
Thanks, Vegan King. You too, man.
Never won. See you soon. I hope so, Gail. I really miss you, mate. Oh, some really lovely, positive messages, guys. I'm feeling the love right now, and I'm sure George is too. It's
absolutely
really nice.
What happened? Because poor Aaron must be watching. Like, what the fuck happened with my stream? Right?
They don't like Aaron. That's the problem. I'm better than Aaron. Oh, I know. I love you, Aaron. But yeah, and again, some other ones to check out. Check out Wholesome James, his channel. Please check out the UK Vegan Family. I'm Easy Vegan. Check him out as well. I've gone back to. There we go. Don't bother with Grumpy. No, check out Grumpy Vegan Grandad because he's awesome. His streams are fantastic. Did a really good one yesterday. So that should be up on his Facebook page. And it was about, what was it about? Oh, sanctuaries, animal sanctuaries. And should we have them and should money be going into them? It was good. But no, thank you for all your time as well and for joining in. And we'll see you next time. Bye, Beans.